This episode of the Play the Game podcast is brought to you by LoneWolfPaintball.com. And when it comes to paintball, Lone Wolf is the name you can trust. They have been in the game since the very beginning as Michigan's premier field and supplier since 1987, and Lone Wolf has built a legacy of excellence, passion, and service that runs deep in the game. From their top-tier customer service to same-day shipping on all orders, Lone Wolf makes sure that you are locked and loaded with your new gear fast. No waiting around, no hassle, just the best brands in paintball delivered straight to your door. They've got it all. Markers, loaders, tanks, apparel, accessories, and more from all of your favorite brands. And whether you're just getting started in the game or gearing up for your next big event, LoneWolfPaintball.com has everything you need. Be sure to check out their YouTube channel at Lone Wolf Paintball and follow them on Instagram at Lone Wolf PB to stay up to date on all the latest gear, exclusive sales, and community content. At Play the Game Podcast, we are incredibly grateful for Lone Wolf's continued support, and we cannot wait for you to become a part of their growing community. Head on over to LoneWolfPaintball.com right now and gear up with the best in the game.
What's going on, PTG Nation? Episode 311 is an absolute banger. We take a little bit of a side quest here with a less familiar paintball name, but a very successful attorney with a massive following on social media. We have Ryan Stygar, somebody who has fallen in love with the game of paintball, especially in the last year, and is head over heels for it. So this is a very interesting conversation, a lot of great life lessons, golden nuggets, the whole thing. Definitely an episode you don't want to miss, and one of our more recent favorites. So without further ado, we're going to hop in the show.
That was an insane inside move by Marcelo Margot. Great communication.
And the crowd starts chanting Harmon. Great shot by all the guys. So Tyler Harmon saved that game. He came out with 2 wins. Marcelo Margot was on fire.
Welcome all to another episode of PTG. Glad you are here, and we're excited for this show. Today on PTG, we are joined by Ryan, better known online on Instagram as Attorney Ryan, and he's absolutely crushing it, has an amazing following, and loves paintball. And he is not only a dedicated attorney, but also a passionate paintball player who brings the same focus and drive from the courtroom to the field. We're excited to have you here, Ryan. How's it going, bro?
Yo, it is an honor to be here with 2 paintball legends in a sport that has absolutely changed my life. I'm just stoked to talk paintball for a while with you guys. It's going to be great.
Let's go.
Awesome, man. Yeah, us too. We can't wait. Yeah, it's always exciting to see people, that are highly, successful outside of paintball that also love paintball. Because for a long time, paintball had this stigma that it's just, not really a sport, not really like an actual thing. And obviously we've been making some major progress recently, but been, diving into your content. We were talking about it before the show. Love what you're doing online and excited to talk to you about paintball as well.
Oh, thanks, man. Well, look, I'm not above a little bit of degeneracy on and off the field, man. I mean, let's be very honest. You got to have a couple of screws loose to play this game and love it, but we all do.
That's right.
Why is that? What is it about the game that makes you feel that way? It's because it hurts.
Well, I'll put it in my fiance's words. Why the hell would you get shot by your friends for fun? That makes no sense.
That's a good way to put it. Yeah. It's a good way to put it.
I was like, well, when you ignore that part, it's great. And by the way, babe, the goal is to not get shot. So.
Exactly. That's the thing. That's exactly right. The goal is to not get shot by your friends.
Exactly.
Yeah. But sometimes
it's the best game. It really is. And Ryan, we're excited to have you here.
I'm excited to be here.
Sorry,
I'll be honest.
I lagged out there.
Oh no, you're good.
Internet.
Oh, you're good, man. No, I'll be honest. I was shocked when I got the message at first because I love the game. I've been involved in it, but I'm just starting my journey. I started playing for the first time when I was 13, just as a walk-on. You go to Jungle Island, SC Village, and you just play, in the woods with your friends. And then it became like a birthday thing. Just once a year, I'd invite people out. We'd play some paintball on my birthdays. Then January, I went out to Velocity in Ramona. It was my 35th birthday. And I just had this light bulb click where I was like, I am so happy every time I play this game. Every time I play this game, I'm just through the moon excited. Why am I not out here every weekend? I'm an adult. I have free will. I don't need to wait for a special occasion. So I started playing on that field. Some of the refs started to recognize me, get to know people at the park. You make friends. Next thing I know, I don't know where I messed up. Next thing I know, I'm standing on an airball field with a bunch of D4 players just getting chewed up in the Shark Tank. But it was the most fun I ever had. And then we started playing tournament ball, and it's just, I'm hooked for life, man. This is where it's at.
Do they have that airball field at Velocity up and running right now?
Yeah, they do. It's got the blue turf on there.
Yeah.
Brian usually runs things up in the morning. So
Yeah.
we get there early on Sunday. We start off with some drills usually, and then just scrimmage with each other.
Oh man, that's amazing. Yeah, Velocity is really where I grew up playing. It was I first started playing at a field in San Diego called Borderland Paintball. It was down near the border, but that closed down like I want to say less than a year after I got into paintball when I was 9 years old. So everybody migrated over to Velocity in Ramona. Shout out to Denise and Daryl. I know they're still up there. Owners.
They are, yeah.
Yeah. And you know, that place just brings back so many memories. Mouse and I actually went out and did drills at Giant Paintball, which is down the street from Velocity on Saturday. And just driving out there, it was so nostalgic. I love that drive. You know, I really wish that there was like more of a paintball scene in San Diego. It's just so far for anyone to really get to if you're not in San Diego, you know?
Yeah, you know, it's funny. Velocity, a lot of great players and a lot of great teams are coming out of Velocity. There's something special happening in that park. And Denise and Daryl deserve a lot of credit. There's just something about the culture there. It's incredibly welcoming to new players, but it's also still challenging to the advanced players. So it's a place where everyone of all skill levels can come together and just enjoy this game. And as for nostalgia, it's funny you bring that up. So before I was an attorney, some people know this who followed me on the page. I was a firefighter for Cal Fire. So law was a second career for me. That Highway 67, that road you take to get to Velocity, there's a Cal Fire Station 86 there. That was my station.
Oh, wow.
For years. So I get all kinds of nostalgia going down there, not just for the park, but oh man, this different lifetime ago sitting in that station doing work up here. It's really a great community.
Well, thank you for your service, man. And when did you do firefighter work?
Oh man, that was when in my early 20s. So actually, you know, lesson to anyone listening, you know, who's not sure about where they are in their career right now or how to fit certain things in life, you can always make a change. You know, I wanted nothing but to be a firefighter since I was a kid. Those guys were my heroes. And that's all I wanted. So I actually dropped out of college to become a firefighter in my early 20s. Did the Cal Fire thing, San Diego Fire Authority. I got to be on a desert rescue squad for a bit, did wildland firefighting for a while, really got to experience it. But, you know, as I moved on, I got older, my priorities changed, what I wanted out of life changed, and what that career could give me changed. So I decided to go to law school. I left the fire service 24. So I got in early, got out early. But I got to tell you, you know, a sort of dragon I've been chasing in a lot of my adult life was that brotherhood and the teamwork and the drilling that we would do in the firehouse, the waking up every day and being like, hey, we have a purpose here. The public is counting on us to be at our best. The public is trusting us to be fit, to be sharp, to communicate, to have our gear on point, to have the team ready. And we can have whatever issues we have with each other. But when that bell goes off, we are a unit. And I can't tell you how much I have missed that part of my life for so long when I left the fire service. And then finally, this goofy ass sport comes around and says, brother, here's everything you've been missing since you left the firehouse. The drilling, the camaraderie, the discipline, the goofing around behind the scenes. But then you get on that field, that buzzer goes off, and now you lock in, brother. It's the parallels between firefighting and paintball are fantastic, but most of all, the friendship.
Absolutely.
Love that.
And there's been quite a few paintball players that have, you know, then pursued careers at, you know, as firefighters. You know, Brian Smith on Tampa Bay Damage, one of my teammates, is one of them. You know, there's definitely a lot of parallels there.
I heard about that. I was watching on Major League Paintball on YouTube, and they had mentioned that, and I got excited. Is he trying to get into it right now, or
no,
is he actively in it?
He's actively in it.
Okay.
Yeah, he's been in it for a while too. I think he's pretty high up.
Fantastic.
Yeah. He had to step away from paintball for a couple seasons, you know, and really focus on that. But, you know, then he got established and came back to the game, as everybody does.
Fantastic. And that's the cool thing about this game too. You know, it's one of those where there's so much diversity when you get on that paintball field. Absolutely. Everyone comes from a different walk of life too. And I got to tell you, as a practicing attorney, no disrespect to my fellow members of the bar, but it's nice to talk to real humans once in a while. and get
Yes.
away from the legal work, and just be like, hey, we got a guy here. This guy's a plumber. This guy's IT. This guy, I don't know what he does, but he's always a good
Totally.
time. So we're not going to ask too many questions. Everyone's a little different.
Man, yeah, you hit the nail on the head. That is really the beauty of this game. Truly, it's exposed all of us. If you play this game, it's exposed you to individuals that you would otherwise never, cross paths with, and probably never break bread with too. And it's really unique that you have this like common game that just makes you fall in love with people. Really, like it really does. It makes you fall in love with people.
It is the people, man. It really is. And what's cool about paintball is it strips away ego fast. I love this game because so many things don't matter all of a sudden on that field. How much money you make doesn't matter. What you do for work doesn't matter. Where you come from doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how big and strong you are. Your muscles mean nothing out there. I mean, it truly strips away all these little layers that we put on ourselves that tell ourselves, okay, I'm important, I'm special. And paintball really exposes that and says, no, who are you? Who are you on that field? Who are you when you've lost 3 points in a row and it feels tough and you want to hold it together for your team? I'll be quite honest with you. We had a tournament this weekend and we took some hard losses in a row. And I remember being like, hey, this is your time to be an example for the team. Stay positive, keep your head in the game. We can still win points. We can still play good paintball. That's the other thing I love about this sport. The winning is a blast. I love winning.
Yeah.
I love running across that field and smacking that buzzer. That is a good feeling. But losing is really an important aspect to this, and taking bad losses and keeping your head up. And you can freak out once in a while. You can throw a pod if you really need to get it out of your system, but you've got to be a good team player when it's rough. I mean, the life lessons the sport teaches you are incredible.
Oh man. Yeah, you're absolutely spot on. You are so spot on. It's interesting. It's because I feel like the game is such a unique mix of, when you do lose in this sport, it does feel a little more personal. You're getting shot by somebody. There's a pain element. There's like so many things going on that do affect the ego that, it's one of those things where it can be difficult to keep your composure, but you're right. It's such a character builder, and your attitude and mindset affects other people around you. It affects the performance of the group rather than just yourself too. You have to be really mindful of that. And so, yeah, there's just so many parallels in growth and being able to work with others and be, a leader in your own right. So,
yeah, that leadership really comes in. And actually, I mean, I'm talking to two greats right now. I mean, can you guys think of a time where you had to dig deep and be like, hey, I'm frustrated, I'm upset, but I have to hold my head high and push my team through?
all the time. Happens all the time. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah, it happens.
I think pretty much every single tournament or even practice where things aren't going well, you have to constantly remind yourself, because again, this game can drag you to the deep end, and you got to be able to tread water and swim and eventually find your way out of it. But that is the beauty, the only way out is through. Like you can't dodge it, you can't hide from it. You can't run from it. You got to face it head on. So sometimes you're up, sometimes you're down, and really, you're right. It's how you're going to respond when you're down, when things aren't going your way, when a point's not going your way, you get a penalty and you have to start down a body and it's a close game. Like, what's your mindset? You come to the pit. Are you deflated because you have to play 4-on-5, or do you look at your teammates and you say, these are the ones we win? And you go out there and you steal the momentum. It really, it's again, just the parallels to life and the lessons it can teach you is just astronomical.
Oh, so many great points being made there, especially, you mentioned, you get a penalty. Dealing with it emotionally when you get a bad call where you disagree.
Yeah.
Dealing with that injustice. I mean, you can go plead your case to the referee and it's going to go one way or another. As the team lawyer, they like to send me to argue with varying degrees of success. I certainly wouldn't charge anyone for those services. I'm not going to argue with your ref for you. But then just moving on, be like, okay, we don't agree with that call. It was a bad call. Are we going to wallow in it or what? Because we got 10 seconds before this buzzer goes off. Like, get your head back in. It's on to the next one. And then also, learning how to deal with the high emotions of the sport. Marcelo, you mentioned it feels so personal when you get hit. There's a pain element to it. It's almost like you're getting slapped on the hand. You stupid idiot. Why'd you pop your head out right there? You dumbass. And you have to learn to have a positive relationship with those thoughts. And when one of your teammates makes a mistake, we've all had it happen. something funny happens out there. We had a plan and your teammate goes rogue and does something stupid, has a bad death out there. How do you talk to that teammate? Do you scream at him, you dumbass? What were you doing? We drilled this. What are you doing? Or do you go to him with an open mind, no judgment? Hey, brother, saw some creative gameplay out there. Saw you really exploring the space.
What a way to put it, dude.
Thought you were going to take the Cali. You did something a little different. What was going through your head, buddy? You know?
I saw some creative play. I am going to steal that. That's great, because this is definitely an area that I can always use some work on. For me, I'm a big fan of accountability. It's so black and white to me. Like, one, I don't take things personal. I'm incredibly hard on myself, probably harder than, anyone could imagine. But it's not hard on myself as an individual on the paintball field. It's hard on myself on whether or not I made a mistake, in the overall game. So to me, talking to teammates is, again, it's about accountability. And, it's always a little different. If it's the first time a mistake has been made, then you speak one way about it. If it's the 20th time, I think you speak a different way about it.
Around the 20th time, the volume starts to go up.
It goes up. It goes up. There's a few F-bombs, you might not be asking about the creative move. You might be asking about the dumb move. The conversation changes.
We had one of those moments just on Saturday where we had a mistake being repeated over and over. And one of my teammates just kept doing it. And I remember it was like the fifth time. And I was like, okay, do you know what? Before I talk to him, I'm going to take a nice walk. And I took a long walk all the way down to the chrono station and walked all the way back. And I was like, Ryan, buddy, we got to talk about that press up the snake. What are you doing, man?
Yeah, actually, do you mind if we talk about the mistake? I'm curious to know what the mistake was.
Yeah, so we had a game plan, and this is just 3-on-3 D6. Yeah. So this is extremely low stakes. I want to just preface that because I know you have a lot of great people on this show. This is extremely low stakes, but you know what? It matters to me. No, the game plan 100%. Was we were just moving up snake side, and we're still beginner players, so we're still learning how to put plays together. And the whole point is we need to move up that snake as a unit, me covering my guy's tape, covering him as he's the tip of the spear. And he just kept getting too excited and getting a little too far up ahead. He's extremely aggressive, extremely smart, extremely skilled, but he can't survive 2 or 3 guns trained on him when he's too deep without support. So I love the guy, but he's too brave for his own good. So I kept trying. I wished I could get one of those dog leash things and that like extends out and like set it. And I was like, Ryan, just stop getting up there. You're going to kick these guys' ass when you get in position, when you get into that Cobra, but you need your support. You can't just lone wolf it out there. But the guy is just so aggressive and so talented. He kept getting himself out and getting picked off. That was the mistake that kept getting repeated. But that's an important lesson about paintball as a whole is you can have your hero moments, which are exciting, but ultimately it's a team sport. You can't win without working together.
Absolutely. And I was going to pose that question to you next. Were you behind him before these mistakes were taking place saying, hey, Ryan, stay there. Hey, Ryan, I'm with you. Ryan, make sure to stay right there,
Usually it would be when I was trying to get into that position behind him, get into that snake corner or snake one right behind him. I would be in the God bunker that was a little bit to the side. And I'd be trying to shout at him like, I'm almost there. I'm almost there. I'm almost there. You can see the balls whizzing by. I'm not going to run into that. Just give me a minute. And then I don't know what's going on up there. He's probably thinking like, look, champions don't wait. I'm going to grab life by the horns. Ryan, what are you talking about?
Fair enough.
Well, patience is so key in paintball. I was actually just having this conversation with a young up-and-coming baller out in Tucson, Arizona yesterday. And I was like, man, most of the time, less is more. There's going to be moments when you do have to throttle it and you got to really press it. But that's literally probably like 20% of the time or 30% of the time. It's pretty marginal. But most of the time, less is more. And if you're patient and you're connected, you're going to have great survivability, number one, and you're going to make great choices out there on the paintball field. So I encourage your buddy and the squad as a whole to just like take that extra breath. When you're playing, take the extra breath. It allows for connection and you make much, much better choices. And I love the intensity. You can't teach that, but a little bit less, I think, will go a long way for him out there.
I think you're right, man. And by the way, we talked a little bit of shit. I want to be very clear that my teammate Ryan Dimmitt, who I'm talking about, incredibly talented paintball player and also an amazing friend, by the way. Really love the
There we
guy to
go.
death.
Nice.
Too brave for his
Love
own
that.
good sometimes, but no, fantastic player. And we're going to come back next season and absolutely tear people up. And
Let's go.
yeah. Hey,
Yeah.
Tyler, since we're on the subject, you talked about it. So when we have a young upstart players coming in, maybe they're a little too aggressive. What's your advice again? Because you had some great points there.
Honestly, I think that it's good to show the aggressiveness because that's something that we can harness and kind of bring back. It's hard to teach a player how to be ultra aggressive or to instill that kind of like fearless attitude in people. Some people either have it or they don't, but encourage that aggressiveness and then kind of just harness it and channel it with a little bit of like intuition on, when you get to this spot, take an extra breath and connect back, or, check in. Let's check in. If we check in a little bit more, we're going to have such great developments out there on the field.
That's a great way of looking at it, because you're right. The aggression aspect, it's always fun when you have a new player come onto the practice squad and you're like, okay, what's this guy going to be like? And you see that he's a killer. He's aggressive. Even if he makes mistakes here and there, you're like, that's cool, because it's hard to teach aggression. It's
really hard. It's really hard. Yeah.
You see that movie Dodgeball years ago where they were telling the dorky guy, you know who I'm talking about, the real dorky player. And they're like, you got to get mean, you got to get angry. And he just couldn't get angry.
Yes.
And at the very end of the movie, David Hasselhoff, I think, was like flirting with his wife, and he just went enraged and went crazy. We can't do that. We can't bring David Hasselhoff to flirt with a guy's girlfriend to get him pissed off. So the aggression's either there or it's not. But what's good is if you have a highly aggressive player who just has a habit of launching too soon or getting themselves into trouble up front, just stopping, take a breath, check in with your team. There's a life lesson in there too, I think. When things get heated,
yeah.
just breathe in,
absolutely.
breathe out, do your box breathing.
Absolutely.
Box breathe. Yes. See, he knows. There we go. Yeah, and I love what you talked about. There's so many parallels in the game that we play that translate into real life. And it's really important to just, like you said, we're all trying to make it in this world. And when you get onto the field, it doesn't matter. But if you stay in the moment and not get distracted from what happened in the past or what's going to happen in the future, you have a really good shot of being effective out there.
Yeah. I mean, my mindset as a beginner, is that every point's a new point, kind of like every day is a new day, and one thing I liked, I was watching the Lone Star tournament series on YouTube. One thing I liked is, the teams that did the best were the ones where even if they were down 3, they played like it was still 0-0. You never got any sense of people throwing in the towel or giving up. Like, dude, I didn't book a flight and come all the way out here to give up.
Nah.
And that's a good life lesson too. That applies in law. It really does. I mean, I've had you have bogus rulings from a judge, you get bogus calls from a referee. I've had bogus rulings, but like if you've got 20 motions in limine, sorry, let me just back up. Before trial, you have all these motions to decide what evidence can come in and come out. And sometimes it doesn't go the way you like. And you can be real upset because a witness you wanted or a piece of evidence you really wanted has just been restricted by a judge. You can't wallow in that, because if you start having an attitude about that one ruling, I guarantee there's going to be a domino effect and you're going to start losing more. You've got to keep your head up. And that's the other thing, the sport, I thought it was going to be an escape from the courtroom and an escape from everything that I do. And what I didn't realize is it's actually this training ground where I'm building up my mental strength for work. It becomes so much easier. The judge can say a lot of things that hurt my feelings, but at least he doesn't shoot me. It actually gets better.
Not yet, at least.
Not yet. I don't think he's got a little Titman back there underneath his bench.
Not yet. It's interesting the way you speak about that, because I actually would say, I think it's more likely the reason you found the parallels in paintball is because you have found success in other areas of your life. And I think anyone that does find success in life, you start to see the path that gets you there in everything. And it's pretty much the same in everything. You're going to encounter things that are bad. And those are the moments that really define you. How do you respond then? Do you move on quickly, or do you let that derail your entire, program? And that's in everything. It's in sports, it's in business, relationships. Like, it's literally in every single aspect of your life. How you respond to things that come your way is the it's the deciding factor in whether or not you're going to succeed. So once you do achieve that in something, for us, it's been paintball. And I've been able to see that in every other area of my life, and, for you, it was something else. And now you're seeing it in paintball, but it's in everything. It really is. That is the formula.
Yeah, there's a common thread we find when we talk to professional athletes, when we talk to great world leaders or people successful in business. The common thread is not always going to be, oh well, they're all super smart. No, there's a lot of very dumb people who do well, or they were super lucky. Maybe luck's an element. You have to keep taking your shots. It's the only way you get lucky. Is it a special talent? Not always. It's not always the most talented people who succeed, because remember, hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work. So what is the common thread? I really think it's how you respond to your losses. I think if I was going to look at what is the number one indicator across all these things that someone is going to succeed, not just in paintball, but in business and law and in life, whatever it is, how do they respond when they lose?
Absolutely.
Because some people, and it's sad, I've met a lot of broken souls in my life where they've had one big loss in their life, a divorce, got fired, an injury, something happened that was a big loss they took, and they never quite got over it, and they let it follow them like this dementor the rest of their life, sucking all the joy out of everything. But the people who can look at a loss, acknowledge it without ego, without getting defensive, without screaming, it's not fair, why this happened to me, or I should acknowledge it, learn from it, and move on. It's so hard to do that. But I love paintball because it teaches you that in rapid sequence. Life will teach you that, but it'll hurt. It'll hurt on the paintball field. It hurts a different way, but it's fleeting. It's a game. I try to emphasize to people, the reason I love this game so much isn't just because it's fun to play. Pickleball's fun to play. But frankly, I didn't get any life lessons from pickle. I didn't step off the pickleball court like, oh wow, I think I'm a better man now. Like, no. But paintball,
it's so interesting that you say that, Ryan. It really is crazy how, and even Oliver Lang would talk tirelessly about how important this game is for developing people and for showing how to be a part of a community, and how you, like you said, how you get through the tough times and who you are in the highs and the lows. This game really highlights that.
Absolutely. And it builds an assertiveness in you too. I was having dinner with one of my teammates the other night, and it was funny. He said, before I played this game, I was very avoidant of conflict. I did not like standing up for myself. I didn't like challenging people. One day of practice changed all that for me. The confidence of getting in and getting into your gunfight with a guy and pressing forward and standing your ground. It's teaching your brain over and over that you can stand your ground, that you can stand up for yourself, that you can take risks, that you can be brave. I get scared sometimes. We do our drills, we do our 2-on-1s, and I'm the one. I get a little scared, or when we say, hey guys, we're just gonna do some 1-on-1 battles, who's up? And having that moment where you're like, I've done this with Cameron a million times. I know his game. I'm a little scared of Josh. of Josh. You know what? I'm gonna call Josh out. Let's do this. That practice of doing things you're a little afraid of every day that you go out there, if you can do something at practice that scares you a little bit, you're teaching your brain over and over, I can do scary things. I can do hard things. I can face tough odds and be okay. So, you do that on the paintball park, and then you go back, in my world, go back to the courtroom. Go, okay, I know this judge really is a little biased to the defense. I know they've got some good arguments. I know, but I've faced tough odds before. I do it all the time with my friends. I can do this.
Dude, I love that, man. Yeah, people are getting the golden kernels of knowledge on this episode right here, because it translates, man. It translates from the field into reality, and you really do need to lean into the fear. If it scares you, a little, you should lean in and say, man, maybe I should move towards that and see what's going on here, and how can I test myself? How can I push the boundaries of what I know and what I think I'm capable of? And if you lean into those types of things, like you're talking about, Ryan, you're going to come out a completely different person, and you're going to show yourself a new version of yourself that you might not have even know existed.
Yeah. And you hold your head higher when you do that. It's natural to feel a little scared on the paintball field. You know, we talked about it hurts. We don't have to talk about that.
Even
But,
in just team environments. Team
yeah,
environments are scary. Yeah.
yeah, you don't, and then there's the shame element. You don't want to embarrass yourself in studying your friends. But what I tell
Yeah.
people is like, look, when you take on the tough challenges at drills, when you play that like super experienced player that everyone's afraid to face off with, when you do the one man down drills and you volunteer to go first and take it, worst case scenario, you lose, but that's the point. You tried. You're learning. Best case scenario, you do something really awesome. But in either scenario, you're teaching yourself that, hey, being afraid is a necessary precursor to being brave. You're not brave if you're not afraid. You're just not afraid. You know, but if you feel fear, if you feel a little anxiety and you do the thing anyway, that's what being brave is. And you
It's a
can
great way to put
honestly
that.
tell yourself, I am a brave person. And there's something very liberating when you realize, hey, when I feel that sting in my belly, when my hands get palmy, you know, they're about to call me up on my case and I know this is a tough one, or hey, they're about to bring me on the field and I know those other players are really experienced. I haven't played them before, but telling yourself, hey, this feeling I'm having, can't be brave without this. Good thing I'm a brave person. And you prove it to yourself over and over.
100%. I love the way you put that, actually. Because you're right. Some people just don't feel fear with certain things, you know, whether it's heights or, you know, like someone that's not afraid of heights that, you know, goes and looks over the ledge of a, you know, 30-story building. Like, that's not brave. It appears brave because I'm scared shitless of that.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
but like, you know, it's not brave to the person that's not afraid. No, I really like that, actually. Ryan, question, you know, and this is something that I've noticed with a lot of successful athletes. They usually have a defining moment early in their career. I'm wondering if, as an attorney, you know, you have 1 million followers on Instagram, obviously very successful there. And can you think back to a case or a situation that was kind of a defining moment that was either didn't go your way or did go your way?
You know, there's a couple of defining moments when I look back. I mean, if we're looking at success in law, believe it or not, it started with a loss. Yeah. When I had graduated law school, I had left the fire service to pursue this job. I had left a good paying, respectable profession to take this risk. And I took on a lot of debt and I gave up a lot of years and I really worked my ass off to earn that degree. And I had earned a job at the district attorney's office. I was supposed to graduate law school and start working for the DA, start prosecuting bad guys and put them in jail. That was the plan. Then a little thing, I don't know if you heard of that COVID that went around a few years ago.
Heard of that.
That changed everything because suddenly they couldn't hire. They had a budget freeze. They weren't bringing people in the office. Everything was shut down. But, you know, my landlord still wanted rent, which was quite rude of them. You know, so I had a job, but it was taken away. They kept pushing back the start date. Rent was due. And then what had happened was a student I had tutored in law school actually came to me and said, hey, my dad has this problem. It's an employment discrimination case. Can you help? And I thought, yes, I can help. And thank God I had a mentor who kind of helped coach me along the way. I took one case, and that one case gave me just barely enough money to get a tiny little suite in a little executive plaza and start my law firm. It was just me, a laptop, and that little suite.
So
one case became two.
Tipping point.
Well, the big tipping point was, remember, one case was good. That kept me some money for a few months. But again, landlord, quite rude of her, was still asking for rent while I was trying to get this business off the ground.
Not thinking about you at all.
No, not at all. It was really inconsiderate behavior. But so I was like, all right, well, I can't really afford a billboard. I can't afford SEO advertising. These fools want like 15 grand a month for that. I don't have that. But, you know, Instagram is free. So I just started posting videos about your rights at work, because that's what I am. I'm a workers' rights lawyer, for anyone who didn't know. I'm not a prosecutor, not a criminal defense lawyer. If your boss wrongfully fires you, steals your wages, sexually harasses you, that's where I come in. I just started making videos about it online. But you know what I did at first was I made these like 3-minute long, like, let me tell you everything about overtime and when you're owed this money and all this stuff. 3 people watched that video.
People don't want that.
2 of those views were my mom. And there was only 2 views because she was commenting, this looks nice, honey. I love you. I'm like, thanks, mom, but you're not a client. So, but then I took those videos and I chopped them up into smaller bits and I threw them up on TikTok, forgot about them, went back, and one of them had gone viral on TikTok. that was a defining moment. So I kind of rambled a bit, but it started with a loss.
Yeah.
It started with a plan that I had sacrificed and worked for. And that was the plan for years. I didn't really have a plan B. The plan for years was to get into the DA's office. And then in a moment, something no one could control, that no one can predict, took it all away. That was a moment where, not to toot my own horn, but one of two things could have happened. That could have been a life-defining loss that I became bitter about. I could have been one of those guys that you see lurking around the bar, huddled over a beer, like, oh, they took everything from me. It's tough. I understand where those emotions come from. I don't want to judge someone for having a hard time, but that's not productive. Thank God I had the support of my beautiful fiance, Gabby, at the time. And, she's still with me, by the way. And we talked about what to do about that loss, and we turned it into something really positive. And it was nice too, when we had the law firm just starting, and there's this idea that lawyers make a lot of money. Yes, you can make a lot of money as an attorney, but it not in the beginning, not right. It's not guaranteed. It was really scary for a while. And then putting out my free advertising, and it just flopped, and it was humiliating because I knew people saw it and were aware I was trying, and I looked like a dumbass because I bought all these cameras and I was trying to make these videos and they were going nowhere. And instead of just giving up, we tried something different. We chopped up the videos into smaller bits, and that was the missing piece.
You kept whatever obstacle was put in front of you, you kept finding ways around the obstacle. And we talked about this a little bit earlier, but you're right. Those are defining moments, how you handled those losses. Like, do you say poor me, which is reasonable and understandable when things far out of your control completely derail your life's plans. But I love what you said. It's not productive. How can we be productive in those moments? How can we find a way to collect ourselves and say, okay, that's taken away, but now this is what I've got. So let's go in on this. Let's give 100% to this direction, and you'll be surprised at, if you keep doing that over and over and over, eventually you find your tipping point and something goes your way. And that can be the spawn of a beautiful career, relationship, whatever it might be. Like it's so important to continuously find ways around the obstacles.
Yeah. Or a championship win in the 3-man, which thank God that came back. I love watching the pro 3-man, by the way.
Do you?
Yeah. Oh my God. Look, 5 is the gold standard for a reason. I love 5-on-5. It's fantastic.
Good. Yep.
But 3-on-3, there's no hiding.
It's action packed.
It is. Even in the 5s, there's at my level D6. I can't emphasize enough that I am a beginner. I love the sport, but I'm not an expert in the sport at all. 5, there's sometimes where you kind of lean on the team, the inertia of all the bodies out there. 3, you are the inertia at all times. It's a lot of fun, and I think the public likes it a lot too.
That is actually something I've been thinking about lately, because it does appear that the league is like making, it doesn't appear. The league is making much more of an effort to go towards 3-man, and maybe that ends up being, what's on TV, all the, blah, blah, blah. When you watch the 3-man at the major events right now, it's a little different, right? It is really fast paced. It's on a full size field, which I think is the right decision. But it is pretty fast paced, but I actually don't believe that's how it would play if that was the premier tournament. I think it plays that way because it's practice for most. The teams are really looking at it like practice, because the 5-man, the gold standard, starts the very next day. And I think players are like, let's experiment. Let's try stuff. In a 3-on-3, if you get shot, that's a big percentage of your team. It's really bad news for your team if you make a mistake. So I think if the stakes were actually higher and that did become the gold, air quotes, gold standard, I think you would probably see slow games if it was on this size field, because people would be afraid of making mistakes, because if I get shot,
it all depends. It depends on the amount of time that you have, because that would only be if you only have a few moments that matter. Like if you only get a couple opportunities, like what we see now, you only get a couple of opportunities. The scores at the last tournament were super low scoring. But if you have a format that is long tail and you get a lot of opportunities, and what we're talking about, like the importance of your body, it's super important, but you're going to get 15 more of them. So there's a certain percentage of those that you're going to be hitting on, and maybe you get shot a couple times, but you hit on 7 of them, it just depends on the amount of time, I think.
I think
Yeah.
both really great points. And Marcelo, to your point, I kind of hope it doesn't become like the default format for competition, because you said something that I didn't realize until just today, that sort of, hey, this is a warm up. This is the prelim. This is the opener of the main event.
Yeah.
Keeping it that way encourages fast, aggressive, experimental play.
It does.
Because the stakes are lower. Guys are out there saying, hey, let's kind of feel out what the other teams are bringing to the table. Let's try out a couple of moves for the main event, on Saturday. That mentality, I think, keeps the 3-man as fun and action packed as it is. So it's almost like a warm up for the tournament. And I think that's a winning combo if we're talking about how do we get the general public who maybe hasn't even heard of paintball or doesn't really know about it, and they're just flipping YouTube and find this. I think that's going to be the one that gets people going, wow, look how quick this game is. Wow, this is exciting. I feel like I'm watching basketball back and forth. Totally. That might be that extra little bit to bring the public into this game.
Yeah, there's so many different versions of the game.
Yeah, showing them the versatility of the sport. We can do 3-man, we can do 5-man, we can do hyperball, we can do woods ball, we can do airball. There's so much you can do, and showing a little bit of that versatility might be the thing that helps hook someone, where paintball is just waiting to change their life, but they haven't heard it. And that's really what it is. Growing the sport. Yeah, there's economic reasons for it too, but truly this sport, I've seen it. It has potential to change people's life. It has potential to take, a kid who doesn't feel like they have direction. Maybe things haven't worked out for them so good, and they're starting to think, am I a loser? Is this all life has to offer me? And you get them on that field. The other thing I've loved about the sport is just the diversity. I have teammates that are half my age, and it's fun because we have this opportunity of this big bro, little bro thing. And I know they get something that they like asking me for, like business advice and stuff like that. And you know what? They really humble me too, because I'm learning to hold myself to a better standard. Like, hey, this guy is counting on you to be big bro. Keep your shit together, man. Be at practice early. Be on time. Be positive. Be prepared. Keep your head up when you lose. So anyway, all that to say, I love the 3-man format. I like the way it is right now, where it's the sort of intro into the main tournament. Because Marcelo, you nailed it. It encourages a mindset of just fast, aggressive, experimental play. And if it becomes the main event, I think you're going to see a lot of stuff just slow down, and that might not capture the interest of the general public.
I genuinely do. I also think it removes a very important layer of depth when you go from 5-man to 3-man. And again, I spent a lot of time just thinking about this and thinking about different big moments in paintball matches. And some of the most exciting stuff to watch is a big move from a player. And that doesn't really happen in 3-man, no matter what, just because there's not enough bodies. It usually happens in a 4-on-4, 5-on-4. A 5-on-4, you see a player make a big move and shoot 2 or 3 bodies, and it's really high level. And I really wholeheartedly believe that we should put all of our eggs into finding a way to make sure we can not only capture that, but explain it to the audience, because that is the exciting, that's the good stuff in our game. 3-man, there's like gunfights that are won, and maybe someone does clear a side, and then they shoot people, on the other side of the field. They have a point where they might shoot 3 bodies, but it's not the same as a 5-on-5 game that breaks out and develops, and a player finds a hole and goes through with that many bodies and makes a really high level move. Like that is, those are the moments that we highlight for a reason already in the game. Those are the moments where, you win $5,000 if you make a move like that on Sunday, and you win $1,000, if you do it in the prelims, and you get fucking accolades for it, because it is the exciting stuff of the game. And I do think that you eliminate that a little bit in 3-man. You kind of dumb things down. So I'm really hesitant with the direction. I do agree. There's so many different ways that we can play the game. There's a lot of different ways we can highlight the game, but I want us to be really, mindful when we're allowing outside networks that don't know anything about our sport to dictate what we do, and what we present, because, at the end of the day, they're looking for anything they can kind of grab onto right now. All these, streaming platforms are fighting for the rights to different sports, and our sport is like more evolved and ready than a lot of these other ones that are getting airtime. And of course, these producers are going to want to kind of dumb it down and make it simple and something that's like a quick flash in the pan, because they think that's what gets ratings. It doesn't mean that that's what's right. Look at social media. What gets a lot of views? Often it's controversial stuff. Not always, but often it's controversial, negative stuff that is getting the views. That doesn't mean it's good, and it's like,
why did something controversial happen with a high profile guy this year? I don't know.
Oh yeah, no, not at all. That never happens.
Some offensive painting on a marker. Did that upset some folks? No.
Quite a few things.
Yeah, no, I get you. Look, the scandals, it wasn't a good look for the sport overall. But there's a saying, any press is good press. It was a real shame because we want to send out the message that paintball is for everyone. And this is a safe place for people to develop and build communities. So absolutely no place for hate. That said, at least people are aware of the existence of this sport. And we got some eyes on it for a minute, and it's a chance to show the positive aspects. And speaking of the positive aspects, I think paintball deserves a lot more credit than it gets. I'm surprised that things like Australian breakdancing are in the Olympics and this isn't. I think this is one of those sports that, look, if you can do skiing and shooting and call that an Olympic event, this absolutely ought to be. And it deserves a lot more mainstream credit. But the thing is, there comes a point where something is great and it's great undetected for a while. And if it just stays consistent, there's going to be that big break. There really is. And we don't know where it is or what it's going to look like. A lot of times it's surprising. I was at a team dinner recently, and we mentioned we were paintballers to someone. And his association with paintball was glow ball. Oh, wow. He hadn't actually seen, he just saw some videos on YouTube or something of guys with the glow in the dark paintball. Was like, oh, that looks like space battles. That is so cool. What a cool sport. So and the point of that is you never really know what is that moment where the public really becomes fascinated in a way. Not that there aren't people fascinated with the sport, but how does it get to that next level? It might surprise us. It might be something as silly as, hey, we just got to throw some black lights on this thing. And suddenly everyone wants to do it.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. It's about how it hits the eye, and it's super engaging on the eye when you see it.
That's why Speedsoft is doing so well, in my opinion. Like visually, when you watch it, it looks very professional. It looks clean. It's easy to have posters and banners because there's not paint exploding on stuff. It's they're airsoft.
I guess, but is there anything more satisfying than that little spray when you
there's not.
Seeing that mist around a guy and you got him, there's just nothing is going to beat that.
Yeah.
Or when you center punch someone right in the goggles and they're
the Cyclops shot. Oh man,
that is the best. I got one of those. Yeah, I got one this weekend, and I was like, man, that's why I keep coming back and doing this. And for everybody out there, there's Glow Ball. HK Army is running their Glow Ball. Head over to their Instagram if you want more details on that. And there's some fun stuff going on this Saturday.
Yeah, I think Action Star Games in Paris, California.
Yes.
Not the fancy Paris, California guys. They've got a Glow Ball that they do, and I haven't made it up there yet. But now we're like, okay, we got to get up there, guys, and try this.
It's a riot. Yeah, you got to check it out. And how did you get into the game of paintball? It's for everybody that knows.
Oh yeah. So no, it was just when I was a kid. It was so funny actually. My dad came up and watched me play in my tournament this past weekend, and it was real cute. He brought a physical, not his phone. He brought a physical photograph of him and me. He had it in his pocket and he pulled it out.
Love that.
And I was 13 years old, and he had taken me to Jungle Island down in Southern California just to play some woods ball. And I remember that morning. I remember I couldn't really sleep the night before. I woke up. I was a little sleep deprived. I was so nervous because I was a 13-year-old kid. I was so, is it going to hurt? Am I going to get shot? Is this going to be scary?
Yeah.
And then we went out and played, and I'm running around, jumping over the bunkers, and I got hit. And I remember I didn't even realize I had been hit. My dad told me I was hit. And that was the moment. That was one of those character building things. I was like, wow, as long as I'm not just staying still and hiding and hoping nothing bad happens, if I'm out there trying to make moves and enjoy the game, the hits don't hurt so bad. And that's another, it's impossible to talk about this game without talking about life lessons. It really is. If you're hiding and you're reserved, if you're looking at starting a business or taking a chance in life and you're so fixated on, I just don't want anything bad to happen. I just don't want anything bad to happen. I'm just going to hide and be reserved because I don't want anything bad to happen. You're not going to have that success. But if you are constantly moving and constantly exploring, trying new things, like me, I was trying so hard to get my marketing up, just try on Instagram, try on TikTok. I'm not joking. I used to dance to Tupac songs. I used to put on my tie and I danced to Tupac with information about your rights at work. You got to try everything. And then when you take your losses, when the bad things happen, they don't hurt so bad because you're trying over and over. If you hide and you're conservative, and then finally you convince yourself to make a move and it goes bad, you go, see, that's why I don't step out of my shell. That's why I don't try new things. That's why I don't take risks. That's what you're telling yourself. But if it's just, hey, I take risks all the time, sometimes it works out, sometimes I don't, it's just another blip on your radar. It's not as bad. So that was one of those eye openers when I was a kid. And look, I just love the sport, played it birthdays. And then that's when I realized this year at 35, I'm a grown up, I have free will. I've got a couple extra dollars to go enjoy a hobby. What am I going to do? How about this one that combines all my favorite things? Every aspect of this game. I was talking to my friends the other day. We actually love the costume component of this game just as much. Designing our jersey, the fun of getting together and designing our jersey for the next event. We're like, what if we had like a cool samurai with glowing eyes and let's put thunder in there. And, it's just, there's just so many ways to have fun with the sport,
Be careful what you put on the jersey. You never know.
We talked about, we had a conversation about that.
My coach is going to love that you said costume. He always calls. He's like, you guys going to get your costumes on yet or what? And I'm like, you mean our gear, Skinny? Our costumes on.
To our friends who don't play paintball, this is my gear. It's very serious and tall. Like, guys, I got the red pants with the red jersey. Don't I look cool?
It's a costume, 100%. Skinny's gonna love that. No, it is so funny. It is. There's so much room for creativity and fun things in our sport, and even the scenario side, is an amazing aspect of paintball because that's something that there are tons of birthday party players, and when you're going for a birthday, typically you're playing in the woods. You're kind of more in the camouflage realm, simulating war tactics and things like that. Great. Like if that gets you into paintball, if that gets your foot in the door, and that's what I fell in love with. That's what Tyler fell in love with. I went out for the first time and I was running around in the woods, and I was, hiding. Yep. I was 9 years old. I was scared. I was hiding, and the adrenaline of being in the forest, with paint flying everywhere and the sound and, was just so captivating. That's what captivated me. But then I saw, the tournament players and I saw what they were doing on like the speedball fields. And I was like, what's that? Like, I want to go try that. And actually, if it weren't for, a really welcoming community, maybe I wouldn't have went down the path I did with paintball. But, older people that had been at the field and, were playing tournaments and stuff, they kind of took me under their wing from day one, and just kind of, they wanted to show me a good time. And I fell in love with it. That's what made me fall in love with it. And then I saw that there were pro players. And once I saw that there were pro players, you could do this professionally. I was like, okay, that's it. Like that's
wait. They'll pay me to do this if I practice hard enough?
Money wasn't even on my radar. I had no inkling of this is what I'm going to do as a career. I just knew that I wanted to be good enough to be a pro. And actually as a kid, I wanted to also do graphic design for one of the big paintball companies. So that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to work for one of the companies and be a professional. That was my, in sixth grade, I was designing t-shirts and stuff, just on my little school book. But it's I just knew that I wanted to be good enough at the game to where I was a pro and was, winning tournaments and, it's just from a competitive standpoint. But ultimately it's because of the community that was there.
I'm glad you mentioned that because that was another one of those key moments. It wasn't necessarily you. I mean, you made a decision at some point, like, hey, I want to explore the sport more. That was a decision you made.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you were nervous because you didn't know everyone yet. Heck, I'm a grown ass man with my own career. I get nervous, when I was getting on there and talking to the refs and be like, hey, so can anyone join the airball league and try it out? And I remember I was nervous. I was nervous. Are they going to be welcoming? Are they going to say, "No, get the hell out of here. We don't know who you are. No new friends." I didn't know. But instead, they smiled and they said, "We would love to have you. Come on this way. We're going to have fun. Get on in there. Hey, I'm not very good. That's fine. Get on in there." Okay. The welcoming aspect. And that's the other part that encourages us to be better people. You know, the sport opened its arms and welcomed us. And then we have an obligation to turn around and open our arms and welcome other people as well. Because really, I mean, you know, Marcelo, you're a great guy, but where the hell would you be without the sport? What would you be doing today?
No clue, to be honest. No clue, because this is the path that I chose very early. I'm pretty certain that it would be, you know, some sort of business owner and something. You know, I always knew that I didn't want to work for somebody else, really. You know, my dad was an entrepreneur, moved to the West Coast when he was a kid. He's like 16 years old, got in a car with his older brother. They drove out here and just started their own business, and went from kind of one business to another. Had some moderate success, you know, but he was just always, he dropped out of high school. My dad was born in 1939, so he was much older.
Oh, wow.
You know? So he didn't, go the college route or anything like that. He just loved business, and really what made him so good at it was really just people skills. He was just a charmer, you know? And so he kind of taught me from a young age that anything that I love doing, I can monetize. You just have to think about it in a way of, trying to put a business behind it, whatever it is. And so, yeah, it would have been something along those lines. Who knows? Really, really hard to say, because I just committed to paintball so early and knew that, whatever capacity I was going to make it work in paintball. So.
And it made your life better for it, and it's interesting hearing about your dad's mindset too, because there's different kinds of people out there. The analogy is to golf. Some people only see ponds and sand traps, and some people only see greens. Your dad sounds like a guy who only saw the greens.
Absolutely.
Where are the opportunities?
Absolutely.
Tyler, I'm curious talking to you. I mean, paintball's been a big part of your life for a long time. I mean, if you imagine, what if the community hadn't been as welcoming? Where would I be if, when I went up that first day and I was a little shy, a little nervous, how are this group of guys, are they going to accept me? Are they going to bring me into the sport? Or are they going to say, "No, beat it, kid"? And where would we be if that had been the case?
Yeah, actually, in the early 2000s, it was kind of lawless out there a little bit. And, it was just a different generation of paintball. And I kind of got, beat up a little bit, not initially. But as I got more serious into the game, they were really tough on me. They wanted to make sure that I wasn't timid, that I had the right mindset, that I was respectful and hardworking, and helped me to apply these pillars to my life that I still carry with me in this very moment. But it started when I was 11, 12 years old, finding this game. And I honestly, I have no clue. I love real estate, so I might be doing something in real estate. Or I don't know. I'm not sure. It's such a crazy question, because I've been playing pro for so long, and it's something that has captivated our lives from day one. And I've never really looked to the left or to the right. I've just been steamrolling straight forward at the opportunities.
Yeah, it's funny we mentioned that, because that was one of the through lines I was talking about. It's your guys' relationship with paintball is very similar to what my relationship was with the fire service. That was it, and that was my identity. And it was I really didn't know who I was outside of it, and then when I left it to pursue law, believe it or not, the first time I applied to law schools, I didn't get into any law schools. So I took this big risk, and I failed very catastrophically. It was bad. I drained my savings. I'd left this great career to get into law school, take the LSATs, go, and then I didn't get into any schools. I had to adapt. I worked for this landscaping company. I worked in an office for a little bit. I tried to sell coffee door to door at businesses, which was humiliating. People don't like solicitors, believe it or not. But then I applied to a law school again the next year, and I got in with a scholarship. Same school that had rejected me a year earlier. The only thing that had changed was a year had passed. The same people said no, said yes a year later. But the point of that, the reason I'm rambling about this is both of you have this discipline and drive that's in you. And I know that paintball is the trapping around it. But at the beginning of this podcast, I said one of my favorite things about the sport is it strips away your ego and all the layers we wrap ourselves in, and says, who are you inside? You're both entrepreneurs. You're both disciplined. you both thrive in a competitive environment. So what's cool is this sport has taught you that if something happened, let's say tomorrow, there's a big announcement from the White House, paintball is illegal. It is illegal. It is treason. It is banned. Every paintball marker has been burned. Every pod has been thrown into the sea. It is illegal. It'd be very sad, but this game has showed you who you are. And that if for some reason it disappeared and you had to live without it, you know that you guys would crush.
Welcome to PTG World, the ultimate paintball community where the game never stops and the vibes are always elite. Inside our Discord chat, you'll find nonstop action in rooms like the Players Chat, Gear Talk, PB Fashion, News, the Media Gang channel, and the exclusive Guest Questions channel where you get to ask our weekly podcast guests anything you want to be answered live on the PTG show. But it does not stop there. We also host monthly GOAT Squad live hangouts for our GOAT tier members, packed with giveaways, laughs, and nonstop behind-the-scenes shenanigans. It is a full hour of community fire with the most amazing people who are locked in every day for the love of the game. Whether you're a weekend warrior or a seasoned pro, PTG World is your front row seat to the pulse of paintball. Click the orange Patreon link at ptgpodcast.com and join the party. Once again, that is ptgpodcast.com. Click the orange link and we will see you in the chat.
Because all the lessons apply outside the field.
Yeah, I mean, I would riot. That's the first thing I would do. I would.
There would be
I would
violence.
organize. I would organize a peaceful protest. And
wait. Actually, I got this. Is how we make it mainstream. We have to ban it, and we have to have like prohibition, paintball speakeasies underground.
That is 100%.
That's how we make the sport go viral. Got to ban it.
Yeah.
Dude, and you speaking of making things go viral, you're the master of it. Talk to us about your following on Instagram, man. To hit that milestone is a major accomplishment. How did you manifest that into your reality and create that? That's amazing.
It's fun. It's funny. It's weird to log into it. I only have one Instagram profile, and there was a time a few years ago where I had 300 followers, some people I knew from high school and college and some family. That was it. I wasn't really on social media. So it is a little weird sometimes to look at it and be like, damn, there's 1 million followers. But then you guys know, because you have big followings, you're professional athletes, you're celebrities, your reach is bigger than your following. So you'll look and be like, holy shit, like 17 million people looked at my stuff this week. It's weird to have so many people listening to you sometime. Sometimes it gives you a sense of, hesitation or anxiety. Like, wow, I have to be responsible with what I say. Or, hey, if I lose my cool on a video, a lot of people are going to see it. But there's also a sense of pride that comes in it. And it makes me realize, hey, you know what? A lot of people are listening for a reason. Maybe what I'm doing matters. I think what I'm doing matters. So how did it grow? I mean, it started with necessity. I mentioned my very thoughtless landlord who kept collecting rent when I was trying to start the business after law school. And it was just I have to do something with the resources I have. I don't have money. I don't have a family name. I don't have anyone who's a lawyer that I'm related to. Like, social media is free. It's this thing I can throw information into and hope so. And it's so funny. It started off as just pure business. I was just, please, hey, I'm a lawyer. Here's your rights. Call me if you have a problem at work. And then over time, as the page grew and I got comments and questions from the community, it became an advocacy page. I wouldn't say it's just a resource for information about your rights. I mean, most of what I'm doing now is more policy and political advocacy, civil rights advocacy. So what's been cool is it started off because there was a need. People want to know their rights at work, and I'm happy to keep filling that need. Then it became a place where people can go when they're having maybe they haven't been fired, they're not going to sue anyone, but they're having a hard time at work. And they can hop in the comments and get some advice and collaborate with people and get some help. So my page kind of became a gathering space for people. That was probably the tipping point. And then once it became a gathering space, I realized I had a responsibility to sort of manage the temperature on there. Looking at, hey, if someone's being disrespectful or using bad language, we need to restrict that person so their comments don't show up. Like, try to create a safe, engaging space on the page. And then paying attention to what works and what doesn't. If a video flopped, why'd this video flop? And taking away that damn ego, going to my fiance and saying, I'm going to show you a video. I'm going to tell you right now, it did terribly. People did not like this video. I need you to tell me everything wrong with this video from your perspective, because I thought it was great. That's why I made it. I need someone else to tell me where I made the mistake so I can get better.
Yeah.
And then also the best way to do this, we talked about how losses, the pain, don't matter as much when you're taking a lot of shots. That's why hiding in your bunker, it's going to hurt more than if you're on the move, you know. We were doing 3 to 5 videos a day every day for years. And that quantity was essential, because I failed so many times. You know, I get a lot of credit because people look at my page like, oh, wow, 1 million views, 500,000 views. This guy's crushing it. Look, cool. That's because I made thousands of videos that got 500 views, 2 likes, and a bunch of hate DMs. I've made hundreds of videos where I lost a bunch of followers, but this guy fell off. He fucking sucks now. I'm sorry, guys.
No, you're good.
Darn it, he sucks now. You know, you got to just, you've got to do the high quantity. So being willing to just put your reps in. I don't know if that applies to paintball at all, but putting in your reps on social media definitely matters.
Life, man, it applies to life. You know, that's the beauty.
And the authenticity matters too. Don't get up there and say, oh man, everyone's talking about this, so I should talk about it. Just talk about the thing that you want to talk about when you see something. And you know, if I see just for example, Starbucks shutting down hundreds of stores to fight its union, I have an emotional reaction to that. I'm angry. You're a multi-billion-dollar corporation. You can't give your people a $1 an hour raise so that they can put food on their table. You'd rather shut down your stores than give these people a fair working deal. That makes me angry. And you know what? I think other people need to hear about this. And then that's the kind of thing that makes me do a video. If you find yourself doing it out of obligation, like, oh, it's Monday, I got to make 2 videos about this, you're not going to be successful.
Yeah, straight up.
That was a long, gotta be passionate about answer to your question, but that's it. You know, you just got to put your reps in, and don't make a video because you feel like you have to. Make it because you want to. Yeah. And don't be afraid to make crap. Don't be afraid to make cringe, crappy videos. I'm telling you.
It's funny. I saw something. It was like every single successful streamer or like, you know, social media influencer or whatever it may be looked cringe until they made it. You know, like the videos they were doing is, you know, air quote cringe until all of a sudden they have 1 million followers and they're doing the same video, you know, but it's now they have a following and people, you know, it changes the perception of it. But it's,
I mean, I'm very much in my cringe era. I mean, let's be very honest. There's a lot of cringe on this side of the podcast, guys. You can't.
Yeah, I disagree. I disagree. Like I said, you know, looking through your page, I really enjoy the content that you put out. It's meaningful. It's informative. You could agree or disagree with, you know, the stance that you take on certain things, as we can with everything in America. That's the beauty of free speech. But the content is very meaningful. It's thoughtful, you know, and again, you know, before we went live, I was talking to you about how cool I think that is in social media, that you do have access to people like yourself. Because, you know, 10 years ago, you had to go and pay $450 an hour to even, you know, get a snippet of advice, you know, and now you really do have access to this information so much easier. It's really neat.
It is. And, you know, I think this comes back to paintball again. It's funny how everything comes back to paintball on this show. I wonder if there's a reason for that.
It's the game.
I know. It's taking down the barriers really matters. You know, 10 years ago, you know, what was a lawyer? Guy in a suit sits behind a big mahogany desk in a very important office, and it's very serious. Now it's much more, hey, look, I'm a lawyer, and what I do is serious, but I'm a person, and I'm happy to talk to you as a person. One thing that's really helped the sport of paintball, I immediately fell in love with so many of the players early on. When I first got really into it, I was like, hey, who are the big teams? Who are the guys to follow? Who are the big personalities? And you start paying attention to who the leaders are in the sport. You know, the fans and the players have access to you guys now in ways they never had 10 years ago. What the hell's Tyler Harmon up to? Okay, wow, he great plays on the field. Well, what's his life like? What are his values? What kind of person is this? You know, with your social media profiles, I think you both have tens of thousands of followers. You guys are big pages. You're opening yourselves up to the world and saying, hey, I'm an ambassador to this sport, and if you want to know more about the sport, learn a little bit about me, and I'll show you what it takes to succeed in this sport. I mean, it used to be you had to go to the store, buy a magazine, read. Okay, we sat down with Marcelo Margot.
Totally.
But now people don't even have to be looking for you. It just comes up on the FYP. And that's the other cool thing about social media is if you play the game right as a creator, you know how to reach people who aren't looking for you because they don't know you exist. They don't know that you will make a difference in their life. But no one really has the thought, hey, yeah, today I'm going to get on social media and look for a niche competitive sport, that not a lot of people have heard about. And I'm going to figure out who the key players are and learn about. That doesn't happen. But if you're just making it the content over and over and over again every day, eventually it's going to pop up on an explore page.
That's right.
Interview with Tyler
it's
Harmon
amazing.
after big win. Well, who's this guy? What is this? Wow, that was a crazy play he just did. Whoa, what's his team called? And suddenly you've got someone fascinated.
Yeah. The slow trickle effect has been working in our favor. It really has. And people, I mean, now more than ever know that we at least, that there are people that play competitive paintball. They've seen it on their Explorer pages and it's continuing to grow.
Hell yeah, man. Hell yeah.
Yeah, baby.
Yeah. What advice would you have to Major League Paintball to, building their social media following? Because currently they've been doing a great job. The last couple months, they've been, posting a ton of stuff. I'm pretty sure all the content though it's mostly just playing clips. Do you think that that's a steady pace, or should there be more interviews and stuff like that? Is there,
Well, I'll preface this by saying that I enjoy the privilege of participating in these events, and I don't want to say anything that will take that privilege away from me. I love this game and everyone in charge of running it. Also, I'll preface this with, yeah, I've had success on social media, but what works for a lawyer may not work for a sports league. That said, I think we can look at Formula One is actually a really good example. Something interesting happened with Formula One about 10, 15 years ago. If you look at their YouTube and their social media, they were actually pretty small. It's a small sport. There's high barriers to entry. It's a niche sport. A lot of people don't understand the rules. It's teams. So, is it the car that's the star? Is it the team that's the star? Is it the driver? Who's the star of Formula One? Paintball can have that kind of confusion for people. Is it the team? Is it the players? Is it the guns? Is it whoever has the best guns when someone's trying to get into it? What Formula One did is they focused on the human behind the wheel. They focused on the individual drivers. And it didn't matter if that driver was a champion or not. It didn't matter if that was the quote unquote best player. Fundamentally, what we see work across social media and across marketing and across everything, humans want to connect with other humans. This is a team sport. Show us what's happening in the tent. More mic'd ups, more behind the scenes. I mean, more is the answer. If Major League Paintball wants to grow, it needs to put out content everywhere, and it needs to not worry so much about, we need action shots. No. Show us a clip of what does the great and powerful Tyler Harmon do when he just took a hard loss and he is fired up and he storms into that team tent and he's mic'd up and he's pissed off. Let's hear it. Let's hear the emotion. Let's hear it. And then the very next clip needs to be you walking back. Like, all right, guys, that was before. This is now. Lock in. Those human stories are what's going to capture the audience. The more we take the players and put them into the spotlight, the more you're going to capture public interest.
Bingo, man. Spot on. Yeah, we've been preaching that. I'm not sure if you listen to the show or not, but that's something we've been preaching on the show for quite some time. And I think a lot of people do make the reference to Formula One as well, because that Netflix series that they put out really did kind of catapult Formula One, and it's just all about the stories. You fall in love with
you got
humans.
Brad Pitt playing a player. You could have Brad Pitt playing Marcelo Margot. That could happen.
Okay. Yeah. Shit, am I looking that old?
The film takes place 20 years from now. You're now a coach. I don't know.
yeah, and he's like 70. Damn.
I don't know.
All right, I'll take it. Brad Pitt's elite, so we're good.
You're spot on, dude. Ryan, you're spot on, man. Yeah.
Thanks, man. And I think you guys are doing the right thing with the podcasts as well.
Thanks, bro.
Doing the podcast, showing people who you are, streaming.
And getting to speak with people like you, man. People get to hear your insights and get into your brain, which I'm so impressed with your outlook on reality and how you've approached navigating business, and super excited to have you in the sport of paintball. And thank you on behalf of the whole paintball community for the media that you post on your Instagram as well, highlighting paintball, because that helps us with the mission of letting more people know about the game. So it's all love, and that's what paintball is all about, man. So it's an exciting time to be a part of the game. And actually, just so you know, we are working on a documentary that is in the making right now, and it's nothing like the sport Formula One, but it'll at least dive into more of highlighting, players and seeing players run into the pit and be like, what the hell is going on?
Yeah. Guys, we need to get our shit together.
Yeah.
No, it's great. Thank you for having me. It was fun. Just this morning, one of the teammates sent us some pictures from this weekend, and I posted them on my story. And I just explained the rules. I said, hey, here's some pictures of me and my team. Here's I said, so you start with your barrel touching the home, and then here's another picture of us. It's me touching. All right, you score a point by touching the enemy base, and you don't have to eliminate the other team, but it sure helps. That just explaining the rules, getting people excited. As for the documentary, you mentioned it's not Formula One. Doesn't have to be. It can just be paintball. We can look at the success Formula One had in reaching a new audience, but paintball's going to find its own way.
That's it. Yeah, we just keep.
And highlight the players, for the love of God. If any big decision makers are listening, please, for the love of God, highlight the players as much as you possibly can. That really seems to be the winning formula across all sports.
Without a doubt. And there's so many amazing characters in our game. Every single team has these phenomenal people that have the most charisma and just really great people that thankfully Marcelo and myself have been able to know for just about our whole lives, in this sport. Whether they're coaching behind the scenes or the players themselves, we have a really entertaining group of characters that are in our sport right now.
Hell yeah, man. Hell yeah.
Yeah, man.
Absolutely.
Well, Ryan, actually, before I let you go, the PTG community did have one question that I wanted to ask you. Let's see. Mark Paris. Let's see. Oh, no, not Mark Paris's. Hold on. They were talking about.
Is someone talking shit?
No. Hey, you have to join the Discord to find out. If you want to join, head on over to ptgpodcast.com, hit that Patreon link, join us in there. But I did have one that I did want to ask you. Oh, balancing the obligations. This one is from Ken E. Thank you, Kenny. What is it like to balance the obligations with legal career and then traveling and doing the paintball thing? As someone who worries about money, or as someone who is able to, have some money to spend in the game, do you find competing to be a good value for the quality of product, or does it lean more towards the expensive side of things?
There's a lot of ways to approach that question. I want to emphasize enough paintball is for everyone, and the community is really the key aspect of this. And for me, I mean, the secret's out. I'm very blessed, and I don't really have to worry about money, and that is a huge privilege I do not take for granted as a lawyer, because I've been broke before. I cover a lot of costs for my team. That's my contribution that I'm able to make. I'm not the most experienced. I'm not the most talented. I have a lot to learn in this sport. But if a guy needs a new marker, I can get him a new marker. If a guy's cleats are screwed, oh my God, one of my teammates tried to play in broken cleats this weekend. And I was like, no, dude, you're getting new cleats. And I got him some cleats, and that's my small way I can contribute.
I love that, man.
And then
You're
a lot
amazing,
of times
Ryan.
it's funny because they'll be like, oh, well, I want to get you back. Dude, you get me back every day by not tearing my head off when I make the same mistake 3 times in a row. Thank you for being patient with me. So for me, where do I find the balance? Look, thank God I just play on weekends. I try to get out every weekend. My family and my employees and my clients have to come first. But I know when it gets to Wednesday, Thursday, I'm like, hey, if I want to play on Sunday, I need to lock in and make sure that my business is taken care of. And that way I have the freedom on Sunday to go enjoy this sport. And when I get there, because I locked in, because I'm very fortunate and blessed to have this high income, I can take care of my teammates and make sure that a young guy there's a couple of players. Cameron Ford is on my team as well. Extremely talented young man.
Let's
Works
go,
at Tater
Cam.
Bros. He's 18. He's
Let's
18.
go.
He can't afford to be dropping $70 on paint every weekend, but I can. And I'm happy to give him that because damn it, the kid's got talent. Ryan's got talent. Julian has talent. My coach, Josh, he's got talent. All these guys deserve an investment in that talent. and I'm happy to do it. And thank God for our wonderful federal government, who I would never want to upset in any way possible, that they allow me to write that off as a business expense so long as I put my law firm logo on as much shit as possible. Thank God. So, because it is marketing. It is marketing. I get the firm out there, and
Oh man, I love
I
it.
get to meet new clients that way.
That's amazing.
Dude, you're a legend. I love you.
100%. Dude, you are the man. I do have one more Discord question. We'll leave it with this one, but we got to ask Verbs, favorite food and favorite place to eat it.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Okay. You know what? It's this really boring answer now that I'm in my 30s. A big old New York strip in my kitchen with, if you're watching, I got the sweetest boy in the world. That's Cody behind me.
Yeah, Cody.
There we go.
This dog.
He's been a very good dog during the whole episode.
Well, you know what? It's another paintball analogy. He plays hard, so he rests hard. You know, we work him in the morning, we work him, and we get him nice big walks, and then he's just chill all day. When he doesn't get his walks, he gets squirrely on me. But no, just there's nothing better. And I'm not just saying this because I'm on the show. There's nothing. One of my favorite parts of my day, it's usually around dinner time. I love putting up paintball on the TV. I love going to NXL and just even if I've seen it before, I don't care. I just love having the game on and cooking my steak. And that is the best thing I eat all day. Apart from that, it would probably have to be, you know what? I'm going to shout out Oscars here in San Diego.
Oh, down in PV, Oscars is legit, bro.
Rick, yes, dude. Get yourself some Oscars, man. And don't be afraid, dude, to get the fried shrimp in the cup with the spices on them. I know it looks freaky, but dude, it's good. It's iconic stuff.
I would stay with Brandon Short and Kyle in Pacific Beach when I played for Dynasty for almost 8 years, and we would go to Oscars religiously. We were always over there. It's the best.
It hasn't changed, man. They got a formula that works, and they're sticking with it. Yeah,
so good.
I think the steak with paintball on answer might be one of the best answers to that question we've had. Verb asked that to every single guest. It's a standard on the show. That might be one of the best answers.
Dude, there's it's the peace, man. I'm not scrolling my phone. I'm not looking at email, just listening to you guys get shot up and, and just it's peace. I think what's cool about paintball is there's so much yin and yang to it. There's the chaos on the field, but there's a peace element too, where, what happened in court doesn't matter. What's happening politically, economically, what's happening in my family, none of that stuff matters when we step on that field. All that matters is me and my boys playing hard, enjoying each other, enjoying this fantastic sport that we're so lucky to get to play. There's just so much zen in it, and really, I'm grateful for being on the show. Thank you for inviting me, and I'm grateful for what you guys do on and off the field. It's guys like you that push this sport out. And again, it's not about, we want to be the next big thing. That'd be nice. But really, there is a kid out there this coming weekend. There is a kid who's going to play paintball for the first time in his life. And it is going to change that kid's life forever. And then that's what this is really about. So thank you for having me on the show, guys.
God,
Amen. Well, the honors ours. Yeah, give him a round of applause. Let's give this man a round of applause.
Superb.
Yeah. Outstanding.
Nice.
And yes, one of our favorite aspects of the show is having the animals on the show. So we're so excited, Cody, able to make it and hang out with us. And thank you for everything that you're doing in the game, bro. You're amazing.
And thank you, guys. Thank you.
Yeah, and also real quick, just make sure everybody knows where they can go find you on social media.
Oh, yeah. So I'm at Attorney Ryan on Instagram, TikTok, and Threads. You can find me on YouTube as at Ryan Stygar, because someone took the Attorney Ryan name and isn't doing anything with it and didn't respond to my message asking to buy it. So I'm Ryan Stygar on YouTube. And look, if you've been seriously, I got to do the plug. If you've been seriously hurt at work, wrongfully fired, sexually harassed, discriminated against, it is free, it is confidential. You will listen to folks at my office. It's real human beings. We don't do AI, we don't do any overseas. Everyone is here in the States, ready to listen to you, ready to believe you, ready to help you understand your rights at work. So if you have a problem, please give my office a call.
Let's go.
Amazing.
Yeah, Ryan. So everybody support Ryan, and we'll keep the good times rolling on and off the paintball field. And Ryan, thank you once again for joining us here, man.
Thank
You're
you
a
for
legend.
having me, guys.
Thanks, bro. Peace.
All right, everybody. Thank you guys so much for tuning in and listening to the show. We appreciate your support more than you know. as you guys heard about midway through the episode, if you guys would like to support PTG in any way, you could head over to ptgpaintball.com. You could click the orange Patreon link and sign up at any level and get access to our Discord. The Discord is one of the most phenomenal communities in the game of paintball. We have so many different channels in there. It's great for learning. It's great for connecting, finding teams, selling equipment, whatever it is you want to do in there. We truly have it all, and we hope to see you in there. So again, head over to ptgpaintball.com, click the orange Patreon link, and we will see you in there.